Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicky V. I'm a studio musician and producer here in Nashville. I play guitar on people's records and I get on here and rant on YouTube occasionally. Today we're going to talk about some Les Paul setup tricks. I know that G string has been giving you guys hell for years, but hopefully we're going to solve that today. And first things first, we got the guitar course coming out August 1st. And I'm really excited about that. I worked really hard on it and I really hope you guys are going to enjoy it. The pre-sales are already rolling and a few of you guys have already purchased it. It means a lot. Thank you guys. If you guys are interested, all you gotta do is hit that link down in the description. It takes you to my website. You can do the pre-sale through there, and as soon as it comes out in a week, I'll shoot you guys an email notifying you that it's up. So, also, one more thing, then I promise we'll get onto the goods. The shirts are in, gang. We have merch. It's official. Look at that. Nashville tracking. Rolling big. I think that one's going to Martin. I'll put the Amazon link to that down there, too. I think it's on the YouTube sales page or something. It should pop up. So, the G string on a Les Paul, right? The tale as old as time. It's been giving us hell for years. So this is fixable, and there's a couple things you can do to help it stay in tune a little bit better. Honestly, it stays in tune great. I have no trouble with this guitar. I take it to sessions every day where I'm under the microscope regarding tuning, and it gives me no trouble. So the most important part of a guitar setup when it comes to any kind of tuning issue that you're encountering, 95% of the time is the nut. It most likely is because the nut is not slotted properly. And on a Gibson, for example, we're already fighting a slightly quirky geometry. And that's because when the string goes up like this, it takes an angle. And that angle right here, you get a pinch point on this bone nut, or in this case it's bone, sometimes they're synthetic or plastic or whatever, tusk. But there's ways to get around this. And people are like, oh, just buy a Paul Reed Smith, right? Because the strings go straight, because the way the geometry, the headstock is angled like this. And so basically the minute it gets here, the strings never have a break angle other than down a little bit to get a little tension on the nut. It doesn't have that extra angle going up or down like this. And that's fine, right? Paul Reed Smiths are a better instrument than a Gibson. They are engineered perfection and they worked out all the issues the Gibsons had. But to me personally, they just don't have the mojo and they're less inspiring to play. I know that's going to hurt a bunch of you guys' feelings out there, but that's just how I feel about it. Anytime I got a Gibson in my hands, I feel cooler and you play cooler. So the issue to get around this on a Gibson is you have to slot this nut and round out the back side of that nut slot and curve it down towards where this tuning peg is for the G string. And so how you do that is you can take a little piece of sandpaper, just something like this, right? And I put it inside the nut slot. I take the string out, put it inside the nut slot, and I kind of just use the pressure of the paper and go back and forth, and I round out the back side of that towards the B string, basically. Leave this side of the slot alone. On that side of the nut slot, we're going to round out the back side like this. And what that does is that helps guide the string down to that tuning peg without having a break angle or a choke point that's going to catch the string. And so what happens is you bend the string up, right? Right here and you go. And then you play that note and it goes sharp. And that's because you bent the tension up here and it got caught right here. Well, because I have this slotted properly, I can, play something, and it's still in tune. And I just did a step and a half bend right there, bending from this E up to the G. And I work with this guitar every day on sessions, like I said, totally under the microscope, and tuning is like our number one thing we're constantly battling because it's an imperfect instrument. And this guitar works great. So the other little trick you can do, and people don't talk about this one quite as much. A lot of people know about the nut slot thing, but you can actually wrap the G string up. And so typically whenever everybody strings a guitar, you wrap down, right? So you get more pressure on the nut. What this does is not only are we reducing the break angle this way, but it's actually reducing a little bit of that downward force this way. And so it has a slightly smoother path back to that peg again. And so I'll try to, hopefully that'll focus on it to where you guys can actually see it. Touch it here so it doesn't. Yeah, so you can see how that's angling up right here. And all the other ones are going down. And it just helps a little bit. I really think it does. So those two things right there are where I would start. That right there should most likely solve any issues you're having with the G string getting stuck in that nut slot right there. And if you're wondering if your guitar already has had some of this done as far as the slotting, all you have to do is take the string out of the slot and look at it. And if it does a little bit of a curve like that, you're in good shape. If it goes straight, you might, and it's not staying in tune, you might want to try that sandpaper trick. Or you have a little file. Some people have little tools and stuff they use. If you guys like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel out. And let me know down in the comments what you think about all this. So on to the next thing. The pole pieces on a humbucker. There's a huge debate over whether it does anything or it doesn't do anything. My suggestion is to stop scrolling through a gajillion, forums and YouTube videos and use your own ears. I have some guitars that I've tried the tricks on, and other guitars like this one where I plugged it in, strummed a chord, and it had no issues, and I was done. This is a Murphy Lab 57 Les Paul, and it has custom buckers in it. Alnico 3. And Alnico 3 humbuckers, you have 2, 3, and 5. And Alnico 3 is the way to go. It's my opinion. I've had every flavor of humbucker you can imagine. And for me, in a musical context, an Alnico 3 is more lyrical. If I can think it, I can play it. It tends to pop off the fretboard and just fall right out of my hand. There's some kind of magic in the Alnico 3, I'm telling you guys. So there's a few different schools of thought on this. I've seen stuff to where they'll take the screws and they angle them at 45s, kind of staggered like this, and they say that whenever you bend your string up, it picks it up more evenly and things like that. I've done that on my SG. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Might be in your head, and if it is in your head, that's fine. If it makes you play better, makes you feel better, go for it. The other thing that people commonly will do is they will adjust the pole pieces to where they will drop the low E string and the G string a little bit. And that's because an unwound G string will sometimes jump out at you a little bit when you strum through a chord. So some people will lower that pole right there just a little bit on both of these to help compensate for that. And the low E string can sometimes get a little bit muddy on a humbucker depending on the guitar and the pickup itself sometimes, but some people will drop these. I left these alone because whenever I got the guitar, they sounded fine. Other guitars I've had to do those small adjustments on. So yours might be like one of the others. The other one that I think is interesting is the Jimmy Page mod. And what he does, or did, is on the neck pickup, he will literally remove the pole pieces. And it does this very airy, more low output kind of thing. And honestly, I feel like it matches up a little bit better sometimes with the bridge humbucker, depending on what kind of bridge humbucker you have. And so that's an experimental thing you might want to try out. I did it on one of my guitars for a little while, just that I had sitting around like a cheap humbucker guitar, just if I needed that kind of quirkier sound. Super cool. Something to think about. And when it comes to pickup height on a humbucker, do not go by any measurement you read on Google or anywhere else. There's definitely starting points, but from those starting points, you have to use your ears. Some people say, on your bridge, start at like 2 millimeters, and on your neck, start at 4 millimeters between the pole piece and the string. First of all, this is an American guitar. We use the Imperial system here. So start somewhere around 1/8 is what I say on both of them. And typically from 1/8 of an inch, you're going to have to raise your bridge humbucker a little bit, depending on the bridge humbucker, and most likely drop the neck. So use that as your starting place. Take the neck down a little bit and the bridge up a little bit and try to balance the volume of them. The other thing that you want to keep in mind with this is that typically as you lower the pickup, you're going to lose volume but gain clarity on the neck pickup. That's a good little rule of thumb. Fuzziness that you get out of a neck pickup sometimes isn't the most musical. And so for me, I typically drop my neck pickups down quite a bit. And I'll try to hold this up so you can see it. But that's kind of where they're all at right there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up really. But my bridge pickup's pretty close, a little less than 1/8 of an inch. And the neck pickup is actually dropped down below the cream cover. And to me, that balances out a little bit better on this particular guitar. So I'll crank it up, everything on 10. It's still relatively balanced. And obviously there's a different, tonal characteristic between the two, but the overall input volume going into whatever recording software you're using is going to be pretty close if you kind of use that as a starting point. And don't trust what I say. Figure it out yourself. Grab a screwdriver. These are super easy adjustments. Grab a screwdriver, take it down to its extreme, and then take it up to its tallest extreme and hear the difference. And probably somewhere in the middle is going to be where you want it. So use your judgment, use your own ears. Don't go by what some keyboard warrior on the gear pages rambled on about. Listen to this idiot here on YouTube ramble instead. So moving on. Next thing we're going to talk about, string wrapping. Another topic of debate amongst Les Paul aficionados. So it makes the string feel slightly slinkier, which I like. We already have a short scale we're working with, so people are like, oh, why do you need any slinkier? I run 10s on all my guitars, or most of my electric guitars. And the top wrapping thing, I do feel a difference in it. I spend, 8 hours a day generally, or 6 to 9 hours a day with a guitar in my hand. And just because that's what I'm doing, recording at the house or on sessions here in town. And whenever you spend that much time with it, you start to pick up on little bitty things. And the minute I started top wrapping, I did feel an immediate difference in it. And people were like, well, you have the tension between 2 points. It's going to be the same regardless. You know, the tension doesn't change. It's not true. And that's because the entirety of the string is stretching. And this gives you a slightly longer run at it, basically. And if you don't believe me, just look up compliance. That's what it's called. Type in like guitar, string length, compliance on Google or something like that. And it'll break down the science for you much better than I can explain, but I can feel it. So another thing that does is it slams this down against the body. In my mind, you have the string which has more of a contact point against the bridge, which has more of a contact point against the body, so it's going to give you a little bit more sustain. I think it works. I haven't done any scientific test or held a note and timed it to when it dropped off, because that's all inaccurate anyways and probably not too qualitative anyways. But to me, just based on experience and feel, I do feel a difference with it. I think there's something to it. And Bonamassa does it, and I didn't start doing it because of him, but I mean, if he's doing it, he's kind of the Les Paul, guru of gurus. So there must be something to it. And like I said, guys, if you think I'm full of it and you don't agree with any of this, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure you guys have some different takes. I did a Strat video about Strat setups last week, and the comment section blew up. I got over like 1,200 comments or something crazy. And there's a lot of really interesting takes on certain things that I talked about. People didn't agree with me. Some people agree with me. Some people did it and it helped them. Other people are like, no, man, this is total whack. But that's what's cool about YouTube, guys, is you can kind of scroll through there and get some different opinions on it. And I learned a lot of stuff too, just from the comments. I'm not the be all end all of information on this. Yeah, I do it for a living every day, but I'm not a physicist. I'm not a tech. I'm somebody that works on his own guitars and spends a ton of time with them in my hand every single day. So I'm trying to help you guys out with whatever the little things I picked up on that took me years to figure out myself. And the next thing we're going to talk about is intonation. And I talked about this in the Strat video, but I think it's important, so I'm going to talk about it again. Whenever you're playing on your instrument and you get up into this register of the neck, you are not typically playing very light fingered how you would if you were intonating your guitar. You typically are digging in more, right? And you're kind of putting more expression in the guitar and you're really pulling those notes out of it. And when you do that, your tension is fixed. And so when you vibrato, for example, it doesn't go down. It can only go from pitch and up. And so what I typically will do is I will intonate my G string and B string just a little bit flat, like 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3 cents flat, depending on the guitar. Another thing that does is that helps you get some of these thirds a little bit more in tune. And if you guys have gone down the rabbit hole on tuning and tuning issues, thirds are our chief enemy for the most part. If you hear 2 notes that are played and they sound out of tune, there's almost, they call it beats that are out of tune. It's like that's how piano tuners tune, is by beats. A third will have a very fast beat because the way our equal temperament system works. If you like tune it to a perfect third, like dead on in tune with your tuner and then tune the 1 against it and you play them together, you have this weird waver that's happening. And so if you flat the third, all of a sudden everything starts to kind of blend into each other and stabilize. And by flatting the G string and B string, where whenever you're playing like typical bar chords, a lot of your thirds live on those, it softens that a little bit. It makes everything ring a little bit more true. That's pretty in tune. And like I said, whenever you're recording for a living like I do, that's really what people are looking at. And I'm playing against software instruments where there's a perfectly in tune, keyboard and keyscape or something like that. It's a constant battle. This is just a little trick that I noticed has helped. And for some reason, the B string and the G string seem to work the best for me as far as compensating for it. There's another video out there where James Taylor talks about it on acoustic, where he compensates it for it with tuning. And his is pretty extreme, but his guitar is like flawlessly in tune with itself. Next to a software instrument, it might get a little bit weird based on my experience trying it. On acoustic, that's a whole other thing. I might talk about that in a separate video. This is all like very minute things, right? Like super highly detailed guitar nerd things we're talking about. You know what's better than fixing all those things? Learning how to play your instrument. There's no substitute for actually being able to play. So if you guys are stuck in a rut, if you're like an intermediate guitar player, check out that course that's down there in the description, guys. It's a great way to support the channel. And if you like this stuff, it really means a lot. It's coming out in 1 week, like I said. I know I'm annoying you guys with that, but quick little recap. Slot this nut to where it has a curvature down towards the tuning peg. Try wrapping the G string up instead of down like the other ones. Try the top wrapping thing. It's worth one set of strings, right? Give it a shot, see if you like it. Bridge pickup, you probably want it pretty close. Start both of them at 1/8 of an inch. Bring the bridge pickup up most likely, and then the neck pickup down until it sounds right from there. That's how I've done it for years. It seems to work great. Some people will angle them a little bit. Just use your ears. See what sounds balanced to you. And try to get the volume difference between the two as minimal as possible. So whenever you're switching, it's no like giant jump in volume. And the lower you get this neck pickup, there comes a point where you get it too low and it doesn't have enough power behind it anymore. But the lower you get it, you're going to get more clarity and string separation. And that's typically a pretty good thing. The intonation deal is huge. That's probably the most important thing I've mentioned on this whole thing. And a lot of people don't talk about it. I noticed that from the Strat video too, is there's not a lot of videos on it, but it's something that a lot of people have done over the years. And so I knew I wasn't alone on it based on the comments. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to check out the channel. And if you want a cool Nashville tracking t-shirt like this, it's a great way to support the channel. You can order it straight from Amazon, or there's like a shopping link here on YouTube with Spring you can check out. I also have some affiliate links down there. If any of you guys, like today, for example, I'm playing into a 65 bassman. It's going into a Celestian Creamback 112 in the other room. No effects, and I might put a little bit of plate verb on it in post or something. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me ramble on here and rant about this stuff. I hope you found it helpful. And if there's any songwriters, artists, or producers out there that need your music recorded, I have a website called NashvilleTracking.com. And it's a full-scale production service. I also do guitar lessons one-on-one. You can book them through my website. And I love what I do for a living. I have a great team of guys here in town, and we love bringing songs to life. If you just need guitar parts on your record, there's another tab on my website for that as well. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.